I'm gonna open my eyes to a brand new day. Open my eyes to a brand new day. Open my eyes to a brand new day.
Back-to-back victories following the international break. We simply must keep this momentum going. The Addicts head to Lincoln City this Saturday afternoon, knowing that a win will take us level on points with today's host and build more confidence after what has been an underwhelming start to the season. Great to see the Charlton upbeats up at Sincil Bank to support the lads. They might already know that the team is unchanged from the win against Fleetwood 2 weeks ago, and they'll be hoping, as are we of course, that we come back with all 3 points. Lots coming up before kick-off. We'll speak exclusively to manager Nigel Adkins and midfielder Alex Gilby. We'll also hear from Ryan Ennis and look back at our most recent victory, the 4-1 beating of Southampton under-21s in the Papa John's Trophy. Alan Curbishley and I are delighted to be back after the break, aren't we, Curbs?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
And with us in the CharltonTV studio, presented by DNEL Ltd, we also have this man.
Now though, oh they haven't, and Charlton are straight back into the game. The handsome sprint and the finish from Charlton Fortune. There's Fortune. Crispy, and Charlton has scrambled an equaliser. It's Jonathan Fortune. Play towards the back post and Fortune got there. Well, it's then the goal that's going to keep West Bromwich Albion up. 2-2. Late goal for Charlton Athletic. And this, you sense his way. Well, it's a catalogue of errors.
Catalogue of errors capitalised by John Fortune. Fortune, what is it like seeing that, especially that goal at the end?
Yeah, it's a lovely feeling.
You live off
Good
that
memories.
still,
Yeah, always. That's what I'm here now.
And why not, indeed. Look, great to see you. Last time you were with us, we were out there and it was pretty cold, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You
the
happy
winter
to be
had
here in
come.
the warmth?
Yeah, I had the big jacket on before, so now in the studio, it's a nice feeling.
Looking well. How much are you looking forward to it today?
Yeah, really looking forward to obviously the company of views too, but also to watch the game and hopefully see Charlton go on a little run.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, Curbs, on the timing of the international break, back-to-back victories, but not both of them win the league, of course. Yeah. But how do you see it? Well, it gives you time to work on the training ground, or actually you just want to carry on playing?
Yeah, because I don't think we had too many players off on international duty, but you know, there's been a lot of talk about the lack of fitness in the squad and people having to catch up. So that's the ideal time. You could have a little mini. I know the players wouldn't have liked it, but like a little mini pre-season, if you like. The ones that have been lagging behind, right? You've got an opportunity now to put some money into them, get that fitness level up. So yeah, I think we are in a position now where the squad is what it is in terms of fitness. So Nigel's got, you know, a clean look at it, if you like. And you can't say that so and so's perhaps not as fit as him. And I think everyone's at a level now. Yeah,
they've had enough time. If we do win today, do you feel that momentum will come flooding back? And how big is today, do you feel?
We need to put a run together. If we've got any ambitions of this top 6, then we've got to start and we've got to put a run together. And that's like 4 or 5 games. So obviously the last league game, we've got 1 today, then we've got a couple of home games. And then suddenly it could be 4, if that's the way it is. And, you know, so important game today, just to start getting that feel-good factor back, and then a couple of games here.
Looking forward to today. Kick-off less than 45 minutes away up at Sincil Bank. Let's get straight to it, shall we? Hear from Nigel Adkins, who spoke to CharltonTV a little bit earlier.
Nigel, we had the international break, obviously off the back of that win at Fleetwood. You must be pleased to get going, to try and get that momentum going again today.
Well, it is. We've obviously had the victory in the last away league game against Fleetwood, which was a good, important one for us, and we backed that up with a good win against Southampton midweek. So the whole of the group of the players have been utilised, which has been good. They've trained really hard during the international break, and we're looking forward to today's game.
Is it a help or a hindrance, but bearing in mind we did want to get that win, we will get the momentum, but we wanted to get players up to speed, and this week has given us a chance, more of a chance to do that. Is that a positive coming into this game?
Well, it is what it is in respect of the fixtures that you have to go and deal with. But from my point of view, the players, we've been able to get a lot of players now to play, you know, in a position of playing Saturday, Tuesday. They've had half an hour, then 45, they've had an hour. We've got all the players now, I'd like to think, are in a far better position now to play regularly and be selected to play and hopefully stay on the pitch. And if we can try and keep that bit of continuity now, that puts us in a far better position, I believe, moving forward. And I'm excited about it.
We've been through a few games as of late with plenty of changes. We've been talking about those fitness of players, getting the 90 minutes into players that need to get those 90 minutes, the likes of Harry Arter, Pap Soare, unchanged today, so that gives us a bit of stability going forward off the back of that Fleetwood win.
Yes, the same team that started at Fleetwood is going to start again today. You know, we've got a strong bench of players as well. There's several players who didn't even travel today. They're training and obviously trying to make sure they're ready and available for the next game on Tuesday and then Saturday away at Sunderland. So we've got a large group of guys. The guys today, you can sense there's a good spirit about everybody, as it's been at the training ground. And we're looking forward to what's going to be a challenging game, as they all are in this division.
After what was a difficult few weeks in the run-up to that Fleetwood game, having those 2 wins in the Papa John's and in the league, how much difference does that make around the training ground? Because things do seem really good. The lads have been in good spirit this week, feeling confident. It changes things, doesn't it, getting a win?
I think it changes the mood, probably from externally, because you've got to get results, you know. But we know there's a lot of good work going on by many, many people at the training ground, and everyone's working very hard for each other.
And over 1,300 fans down that end today. It's going to be pretty packed from the looks of things. They're going to be making plenty of noise, and they're going to play their part, aren't they, today, the fans?
Very much so. They've been great. They get right behind the players. We need to make sure that we put a performance on, get in the lead, and hopefully they can stick with us all the way through the game.
Thank you, Nigel. Good luck.
Cheers.
He looks happy, ready for it, and so he should be as well. Confirmation here that it's the same team that started and got the win, a very good win at Fleetwood. 4-2-3-1 formation. My personal opinion, Clory Blackett-Taylor, I think, should be in there, but I understand why he's kept the same side. Curbs, before we actually talk specifically about certain players there, it's been understandable that Nigel made changes with late signings and then them not being 100% fit. Does he look at this as, this is my best 11, or does he just say, well, look, they started well last time, so we're going to do the same thing?
It's probably that way round, that, you know, they've won the last game, and apart from a couple of players, he's had that group together, and so they've trained for virtually 2 weeks to keep the same side. And I can't remember that happening. Even when Bo was in charge, I can't remember that happening since we've been doing this. So I may be wrong, but and it has surprised me a little bit. But you know, what we've been crying out for is a bit of consistent team selection. Yeah. So now we've got it, we can't complain too much. What
has surprised you in terms of any perhaps individuals? I mean, it's a big decision up front, I suppose, as well, wasn't it?
It is a big decision. Stockley for Davison. Perhaps Stockley will come in on Tuesday. Who knows? And he mixes it up again. I think for me, looking at it, I perhaps would have had Purwitt in if he's fit. I know he played it for the under-23s or whatever in the Papa John's, because obviously Soare, we've been talking about his fitness coming in late, and I just think that Purwitt's perhaps a steady Eddie. Left back, and you know what you're going to get in terms of the defensive side.
And is that what you want when you're thinking we've got to make sure we don't concede goals?
Away from home, yeah, and give us that little bit of a base. But as I say, Soare, he likes to get forward, and you know, if he gets forward and Gutner gets forward, then perhaps Ariart will be the one that sits.
We were unchanged in the first 3 league games of this season, but since then, as you say, there's been a lot of changes. Understandable. What do you think, Forge? I know you've seen Charlton a few times this season.
Yeah,
not every game.
I was at the Southampton game with Curbs that day, and I said that the boys put in a good performance. I know it's against an under-21 side, and you expect that, but you've still got to go out there and perform. So to see Stockley score that many goals in the game, but I understand why they've gone with Josh, because obviously the legs and getting him behind and the running power that he's got. So hopefully it works out today.
Yeah, OK, let's have a look at the league table, shall we, and see where we sit. At the bottom half first, of course. Despite not playing last weekend, we're still 4th from bottom in the relegation zone. As I mentioned earlier, a big win could take us up to 17th, where today's opponents, Lincoln, currently are. And look, at the moment, we're 2 wins behind the top half. So although we're down there at the moment, it can change very quickly, Forge, can't it? Especially with the midweek game coming up.
As we all know in this division, well, any division, you put 2-3 games back to back and nick the 3 points in them, you can fly up the league. So the squad that he's got there are capable of doing it. It's just about going on that consistent run and getting them consistent performances to do it.
Yeah, let's have a look at the top half now then. And the top 2 changed over the weekend, and Plymouth lead the way with Wickham in 2nd. Wigan and Sunderland dropped to 3rd and 4th, but neither played last weekend and have games in hand. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's Burton beat Morecambe last night to go level on points with MK Dons in 6th. Our opponents on Tuesday Accrington Stanley, they're in 11th. I mean, Curbs, I expect Sunderland and Wigan to be the top two come the end of the season. They have lost both of them in the last 2 matches, so you never know. But still keep looking at that 6th spot, 10 points away from MK Dons. And it is a big week, isn't it, with 9 points up for grabs?
Yeah, and we need to put them 3 or 4 games together to have any chance of getting in the top half. And that's, you're looking at the teams up there, they don't take any points, you know, so obviously they are going to, so it's going to take probably...
It's a long slog, isn't it?
It's going to take to the new year before we can start thinking about that top 6 again.
Forge, a few surprises in there, I think it's fair to say, but who do you expect to be up there come the end of the season? And we ask every single week this because it does change quite regularly.
It will change, and it does change. I went last weekend, I went and saw Wycombe play against Gillingham, and they were fantastic on the day. I was really, really impressed by them. They're a strong, athletic, very good footballing team. So I've seen MK Dons put in some great performances as well with a passing style and the football they play. So, like I said, it is going to be tough, but he said when you look at the numbers and the squad we've actually got, we are very much capable of it, right?
I think it's not just the top half teams that think they can get in the top 6. There's some teams, including us at the bottom half, that can think that as well.
And so many big clubs in there.
Yeah.
You know, when you start looking at it, it's incredible.
It is. It's a full League One programme today. 12 matches in total. And there we go. There we have it. Today, our opponents, this coming Tuesday, Accrington head to Cheltenham. Both have lost 3 of the last 5. Second place Wycombe go to bottom of the table Doncaster. Leaders Plymouth travel to inform Oxford. That would be a difficult game there. And I mean, fortunately, every team in the division, apart from Rotherham and Plymouth, have lost at least 1 of the last 5 league games. What does it tell you about this division?
It's tough. You've got to be at it. You've got to respect your opponents. Obviously, some of the boys are not going to be as clued up as to who they're facing because I don't see them play every weekend on the TV. But you get caught out and you get surprised. So you've got to do your homework and turn up at these places ready to go.
Yeah. Curbs, League One's the new championship, isn't it?
Well, I'm just looking at the top of it. Like, you've got Sheffield Wednesday up there, Bolton and Wigan. 3, if you like, Premier League clubs, aren't they? You know, just at the top, and then you start drifting down it.
Yeah.
So many big clubs in this league, which is making it fascinating, really, isn't it? And you know, we look at it and see ourselves as a big club in here. But you look at some of the opposition, perhaps the lesser lights, and they must love it, turning up at certain grounds, turning up at Sheffield Wednesday, turning up at Wigan and Bolton, Premier League stadiums. You know, so I think that's making it even more and more difficult for the bigger sides.
It's almost a leveler, isn't it, with the pressure as well that comes with the big clubs, and again, we include ourselves here. Then the other teams, other players will come here and think, let's just have some fun, and they do.
Have some fun, and you turn up these fantastic stadiums, and now you've got your fans with you as well, right? So the atmosphere's changed again, so it's a fantastic environment to be in as a player at that level. Definitely.
OK, more on today's game shortly. Let's talk about some club news, shall we? And as always, we will start with ticket news. And tickets for our next 3 home league matches are now on sale. We welcome Accrington to the Valley on Tuesday, with Doncaster coming here on October the 30th, and our rearranged home game against Rotherham will take place on Tuesday, November the 2nd. Adult tickets for all 3 matches start at just £18 each, and for the Donny game, under 11s tickets are priced at just £1 each. A streaming update now. Would like to remind all fans that today's game is only available to live stream outside of the UK and Ireland due to EFL broadcasting rules. We would love that to change, but that's what they are, as is the case with every Saturday 3 p.m. game this season. We can only live stream outside of England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Jersey, Guernsey, the Isle of Man and the Republic of Ireland as well. And overseas fans can purchase a match pass for today's game for just £10 by going to cafc.co.uk. And at half-time, we'll be speaking to Adam Bright from the North American Addicts via Zoom as we look to speak to more people throughout the season from anywhere in the world. Adam, looking forward to that one already. We can stream in the UK and Ireland and worldwide when we take on Accrington Stanley on Tuesday. Curbs and I will be joined by Jake Forster-Caskey, Curbs, in the Charlton TV studio, presented by DNEL Ltd.
Yeah. Get a chance to catch up on how he's doing. You
Yeah,
know.
be good to him. We miss him.
Big blow to him, wasn't it, the injury, and you know, he's going to take some time to get himself fit. And while he's been out injured, he's seen all sorts of players come in, hasn't he? So he's made it even more difficult for him to get back in the side.
Yeah, it'd be a big plus though, wouldn't he, when he's fit. Match passes for that fixture are priced at £10 each and can be purchased anywhere in the world, including the UK and Ireland. Head to cafc.co.uk to get yours. Now, the club announced on Tuesday that it had agreed the mutual termination of Ronnie Swartz's contract. The 32-year-old played 16 times for the club, scoring once after joining in January, but had yet to feature for the Addicts this season. Everyone at Charlton, of course, wishes him the very best in the future. Last Friday, one of the club's latest TikTok videos went viral by amassing an incredible 200,000 views in just a few hours. The video, which saw the first team squad imitate the red lights, green lights game from the popular Netflix show Squid Game, also saw the club's TikTok following double. I know, Curbs, you're all over TikTok, you aren't you?
Absolutely.
I know you're down with the kids though, Forge. You must be on it.
No, my kids are on it, but I'm trying to hide it from them because they'll spend all day just watching that TikTok.
It's fun. Was that a warm-up? Was that the warm-up?
Yeah, the warm-up.
Do you remember when we had Prince William come down? Was you?
Yes, I was there that day. Yeah.
Well, go on. No, the future king.
Yeah.
He sort of come down to the training ground and I think he just got involved with the FA and he wanted to train with us. So he's come in and Luke Young, I think, said to the fitness guy, go on, really push it. So
You're blaming Luke Young now.
Yeah, oh no. They've started jogging, then they've gone off. Then they've slowed down again, and as he's getting his breath, they've gone off again. And as he's getting his breath, they've gone off again. And then that was it. He was like that on all fours.
I just remember how much security was around the training ground, right? But that come with him that day.
Yeah, even more now. But he had loads of air, didn't he? Then?
Yeah,
a bit like yourself.
Yeah, it was carrying a bit. Tough times.
OK, finally, a double from Emma Follis saw the Charlton women's team extend their 100% home records by beating Bristol City on Sunday. She capitalised on a short back pass. Neat finish that, wasn't it, under the keeper? And that was in the first half for her opening goal. The Robins levelled through Abigail Harrison from a tight angle, but I have to say, that's a great strike, isn't it? Just before half-time. But in the 94th minute, have a look at this, a diving header from Flying Follis, who has since been named the Championship's Player of the Week. Secured all 3 points for Karen Hills' side. A big well done to all involved. And Curbs, I have to say, that was a Jaden Stockley, a Carl Lieburn, a John Fortune header, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Or even a Jason Newell that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Good to see Karen doing well, though, isn't it, with the women's side?
Yeah, very good. I mean, obviously the club have, invested in it and turned them professional. And the women's game's taken off. It's really going to take off. And, I think if we can win promotion into the Women's Super League, it would be fantastic.
That'd be amazing. OK, last Sunday was World Mental Health Day, and ahead of it, the club's mental health ambassador, Ryan Innes, spoke to Danielle Beck to discuss the importance of understanding and supporting mental health.
It's something I've suffered with myself without being diagnosed as such. It's something that runs in my family, and obviously I just wanted to ask you about what you're struggling with.
I struggle with psychosis, so if anyone knows what that is, so it's when you hear things and see things that aren't there and believe things that aren't true. It was like things were talking to me and telling me to do things, like the TV and stuff. And then it turned into like a full psychosis, and I thought people were going to kill me and stuff. And then I experienced sleep hallucinations, and then from then it's just been like chronic insomnia.
I'll be honest, I didn't really know much about mental health growing up. And obviously when I lived with my mum, then I left there. And as I got older, different behaviours and things that we went through, you just get used to them, when really it's something that we should all learn more about, and then we can actually help that person. When
you're under the care of the intervention team, they give you the opportunity to be involved with a lot of activities, and it is so good just to have that sense you can lean on the community, and it's like that sense of you're not alone in this, and it's everything that you're doing is you're being supported, you're being able to go out and do things that you weren't able to do before.
I've been on so many loans and had so many injuries that those two coincided, if you will. So I'd be away on my own in hotels or one-bedroom flats, down in Yeovil, up at Dundee, and just as I got older, I didn't really have much of a life. And then I was basically just living for the football, and if I got injured, it would take me to a real low place. So yeah, being here and helping out with the trust, I just love doing it anyway because I've been through things myself, but it also helps me. I feel like a better person. So there's a little bit of a selfish side to it, but I know I'm a good person. I've done things in the past that I shouldn't have done. But at the end of the day, I just want to give a little bit back. And once like I said, I do the upbeat stuff. They're brilliant people. I love doing that. So I put myself forward for this, but I'd love to get down and see how the intervention stuff is. So I don't know if you'd have me down there, but yeah,
I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, really important that these type of conversations take place. And Curbs, if we relate things specifically to football, mental health has never really spoken back in our day, but it was definitely there, wasn't it?
It was, and I think what Ryan said there, when players get injured, you know, firstly they worry about losing their place in the team. If it's a long-term injury, perhaps not getting their contract renewed, all them sort of thoughts, and you know, it's something that we've got to be aware of. Listen, my generation would probably just shunned it and said, "Oh, you know, grow up, you know, be a bit stronger. What's the matter with you?" But now people are actually talking about it, and it's not just, you know, as Ryan was saying there, it's not just footballers. It's any walk of life. But we are becoming more aware, which is great.
Yeah. What were you like when you got injured, John, or even when you finished as well? Was that a big transition for you mentally?
Yeah, it is tough. I wasn't one of them guys that I thought didn't fall into that trap, but I had 2 serious injuries where I snapped my Achilles both times, and both times I'd done it were the only times I was becoming out of contract. So I have been in them dark places in that respect where you're fighting for your next contract and you don't know whether you're going to come back the same. And it's not a nice place to be. So if you're carrying a burden or something else with that, I can understand why you can end up falling into that trap. And you speak to ex-teammates now and see people around in the jobs that we do, and you people are more honest and open right now. Where when we was in the change room in our time, it was more of a like man up, bravo kind of situation. Which people, and I said to hear him speak there, he spoke so openly and honestly. It was fantastic to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously incredibly successful as a player, I have to say, as well as a manager. And yes, I do remember you as a player.
I showed you a goal the other day.
He certainly did, a header. Not many of those in his career. But, you know, obviously it must have been tough times. What got you through it, and what advice would you give to anybody, and especially young players or just people generally that they're going through a tough time?
Listen, as a player, you live for the training, you live for the matches, and you know, it's great. But when I become a manager, I really found there were some lonely places. You know, when you're struggling and you feel the responsibility for everybody. Like, you know, when we got relegated here, I didn't just think, you know, oh, blimey, that's tough, and players might have to leave, and we're going to do this. It was the staff, you know, perhaps that worked in the restaurants and whatever, because we're suddenly going to lose a lot of revenue. We ain't going to get the same crowds, and you feel a responsibility for everything.
So how did you get through that?
Well, perhaps I was more aware of it than most, but, you know, mentally, you just have, I suppose it's what John said earlier, man up and toughen up. But I didn't really sink that low. I always sort of kept myself on an even keel. When we was going great, I went up there. And then when we were struggling, I wasn't down there either.
I'll jump in there, and obviously even your time as a player, Curbs was like that anyway. When we was doing really well, you were always trying to tell us to stay on an even keel.
And you know,
communication, absolutely crucial, isn't it? Communication, speaking to people.
Yeah, and when I was dealing with the players, John will tell you, you know, if I made big decisions, I made sure that I sat down on a Thursday, normally, Thursday afternoon, you know, if they got the curly finger, as Yuli used to call it, I'd make sure that I explained everything fully, why I was changing the team, why they weren't playing, and what they had to do to get back inside, and things like that. I didn't, like some managers, just announce the team on a Saturday, so that they end up not knowing the reason they've been left out. And as you say, footballers may be a bit different now because the finances just gone through the roof, but you know, they pay mortgages. They're just like normal people. Yeah. You know, and
the pressures are still the same whether you've got money or whether you haven't got money.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the fact that it's so public. You know, when a decision is made, it's so public now. Oh, so John might be taking his kids to school. Oh, your dad's been left out. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Well, how do you know?
What with social media as well? I mean, we could talk for hours about this.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure.
We do have to move on. I mean, the biggest thing I can say is just speak to people, speak to someone close to you if you are struggling. If watching Ryan and Danielle's video resonates with you and you'd like to speak to someone about your mental health, you can contact Charlton Athletic Community Trust's intervention team by emailing terry.adkins terry.pert@cact.org.uk. Terry's a great guy, and there's more information on the website. OK, Forge, now we've had Memory Lane with you.
Yep.
So you know what's coming now, don't you? A new thing that we started with Brownie a couple of weeks ago, a five-a-side team. Rules are, got to have a keeper,
Yep.
and you've got to pick yourself. Would you have picked yourself?
Would never pick myself. But,
We'll come on to that in a second. The keeper, Dean Kiley.
Dean Kiley, yeah.
He was Brownies as well.
Was he? Yeah, he was. From my time at Charlton, like, he was a standout goalkeeper. He said through the whole years in the Premier League, he made some unbelievable saves, and he was a great personality in the dressing room, and a great lad to have behind you as well. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed playing with him.
What was your relationship like with him? And, you know, Curbs has said before, he wasn't really a vocal keeper. Was he on the pitch?
No, he wasn't as vocal on the pitch. He was very vocal around the training ground and game time and that. But he wasn't someone that would be commanding in terms of coming off his line and imposing himself. But you just knew that you had a safe pair of hands behind you, right? And you knew what he was going to do and what his strengths were. So we would, we had full trust in him behind us.
He was top keeper, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to the keepers we had before, but I think, Danny Mills, we didn't have to sell Danny Mills, but Danny Mills went off to Leeds and we got $4 and a bit million, and the first one we done was book Dean. I think we paid £1 million for him. And,
Did he play right back and then realised he couldn't go and go?
But, it was a bit of a statement for us. Mervyn had come in and had been watching him and said, like, let's go and get Dean Kiley. And that's what we did. And then we started building from there.
Scott Parker next.
Yeah,
Tell us about him. You came through the ranks with him.
Yeah, Parker, like I said, I've played with him since I was probably 10 years old. So we've been on the journey together with Konchesky as well. So I just remember, Curbs, you remember as well, you sent him on loan to Norwich, wasn't you? And Scotty was a number 10, a flair player in the youth team that would score goals and really a standout player. And then he's just come back from Norwich and he was just absolutely wiping people out with tackles in training. And we was all looking at each other like, what's happened to Scotty? Because he was never this way before.
And people don't go to Norwich and learn about tackling, do
yeah,
they?
for sure. But he come back and he was making some unbelievable tackles, and it got to a stage where if he wasn't on his team in training, you wasn't winning.
Well, actually, he come and see me after he come back from Norwich and said, how do I get in the team? Because he was that sort of guy and desperate to play in the first team. And I said, well, look, Kinsey's coming to the end a little bit. And if you're going to get in the side, you're going to be next to Klaus. So you need to start thinking about defensive work, because we always saw Scotty as an attacking midfield player. I said, if you're going to play with Klaus, he ain't going to do no defensive work, so you're going to have to do it. And that's when he started.
He really took that message on. So, like you said, some players you can tell them to do stuff and they walk out that manager's office and say, is he winding me up? But Scotty took that on board and transformed his game.
Curbs has mentioned Klaus. He's next up. How good was he?
Klaus was just sheer class. Cruised around the pitch, could take the ball from anyone in any position and wanted the ball all the time as well. I would love to have seen him play in today's game with his pitches that are available now and the freedom to be in that number 10 role, and that to say he had to fit into a system that worked for us. And he managed to do that. He was.
He's that good. He can score a goal like that.
Yeah, he was someone that was actually quicker when he had the ball at his feet running with it. And
is that because he didn't want to run?
I would probably say so.
He always had a smile on his face, didn't he? And why not? He had fantastic ability. I wasn't watching all the goals. They didn't show the Arsenal one, did they? Everyone talks about the goal he scored at Arsenal.
Tell us a story about Klaus.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always liked him. Colin Todd was the manager at Bolton, and we heard he was available. So when I phoned Colin Todd, I played with Toddy at Birmingham. He said, he's on his way down. We've agreed a fee. He's on his way down to Ipswich. I went, what do you want about? He said he's on his way down to Ipswich now. He said he's meeting George Burley in a hotel somewhere. So I managed to find out where, and I got down there first.
You drove to the hotel?
Drove to the hotel and intercepted it a little bit and said, look, we want you as well. Obviously, you've got to make a decision. So then he spoke to Ipswich and then phoned us up and said, look, I want to come to Charlton. So that was it, great.
Technically one of the best players you played with?
Comfortably, yeah, comfortably. He was, like I said, he was a joy to play with, a great teammate as well. Got involved on the other side of the stuff as well, so it was a pleasure to be around.
Last but one pick, Yuli.
Yeah, Jace.
Talk to us about Yuli.
Jace come in. I was a young man coming through as we just signed him, so he took me under his wing and I roomed with him. Really helped me as he come through as a young man. But Yuli, he was one of those. he had the knack of being in the right place at the right time and getting goals, whether it was playing up front or playing in the midfield role. He just always found a way to get on the end of chances. I remember the day when he signed and he made a big announcement to us all.
Yeah, the initiation.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, both of you.
So we used to do a thing, right, where if you signed, you would introduce yourself to the squad, and you stand up, and normal people would just say, "Hi, my name's John Fortune. I play centre midfield." Yawley got on the table and said, "My name's Jason Yule. I'm your new record signing, 4.7 million or whatever it was." And at that time, we had never spent money like that, and it was just like, whoa, like he's come to make an announcement, right?
And I score goals.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, let's hope so, because I did spend 4.5 million on it. But
he did though, didn't he?
He did. But the reason we brought him in is because what John just said. You know, in the Premier League, and you know, sometimes you need perhaps that backup that you're going to have an extra man in midfield. So instead of playing up top, we could always drop him off in midfield, and he'd play like a midfield player, but he'd be the one that gets in the box. And it worked very well for us.
He was a 9, he was a 10, he was an 8. He could do a bit of everything, and you put him into midfield in the end, didn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. You could play in. The thing about the squads that we had at the time, it was versatile. So we could, during the game, we could go 3 at the back, and have 2 wing backs, or we could revert back to a back 4 and move someone somewhere else without having to make a substitution. Yeah. We could change, and you know, I always quite like players that could play in 2 positions. It was good. Before
we come on to the star player, you, of course.
There
was a big ups there. Who would be the best player that you played with at Charlton?
I would say Scotty by far, because obviously I've come through with him and I saw the growth in him. But he got to a stage where he was like 2 players in one. So he was rattling around and making tackles, and he would get up and drive us forward and also score goals. So, like I said, in that period of time, we spoke about this before, when he left to go Chelsea, we was 4th in the league, right? And we all believe within the club that if he would have stayed, we'd have had a real chance, because he was that good at that time.
Champions League.
Yeah.
Amazing. Finally then, yourself, what would you bring to the side? I speak to Keith Peacock most Saturdays driving in here. He told me you were a striker as a kid.
Yes, so I was, I think it was my second year youth team. So first year I played up front, and the funny part about this story is that first year up front for the youth team I scored 7 goals, I think it was, yeah? And my youth team manager, Terry Wesley, was always going to say, like, just keep making the runs, because next season you're going to be bigger, stronger, da-da-da. So I was thinking, and then all of a sudden he said, look, I'm going to think about playing you centre-half in the last 2 games of the season. But I'm looking at him and I'm thinking to myself, well, you got Lee Howes and Charlie McDonald behind me, right? Is the year below, so is he trying to make way for them? But I ended up playing up front. We played Norwich away, which was Craig Bellamy. Done really well in that game against him, and thought, you know what, there's 3 games, I'll give it a go to the end of the season. Next season, played it the whole season. I ended up scoring 12 goals from centre half.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I just come into myself, right? Yeah. So the strength and everything.
Did you feel more natural at centre half?
Yes, I felt more natural there because I could see the game in front of me, but also I was blossoming as an athlete in terms of getting bigger and stronger at the same time. So it coincided, it just worked together for me, right?
Decent 5-a-side team, I have to say. Yeah, very good indeed. OK, let's bring it back round to a little more present day, shall we? Just 11 days ago, where we played Southampton under-21s in the Papa John's Trophy. Both of you were here, actually, weren't you? Curbs, what did you make of it?
Yeah, well, actually, I came because I thought some of the young boys would be playing. You know,
strong side, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I come to the Crawley game, and as I say, there was a lot of young players playing in it. I just wanted to have a look at that. But when I turned up here, this was basically a first team. And as John said, they got the job done. I mean, Stockley scores there. But they got the job done, and it was very professional. And it looked like they really enjoyed themselves. You know? Yeah. It was one-way traffic, really. But, you know, it was another boost for their fitness for a lot of them who hadn't been playing. So I think that's what's decided now, that Nigel thinks, as he said in his interview, everyone's fit, really, except for, obviously, Forster-Caskey at the moment.
Jayden got 2. You could see the fist pump with the first goal as well. Good to see Forster, a striker, whatever game he's playing in, being happy to score goals.
Of course, as he said, because Josh has come in and done tremendously for a young man playing up front. But if you've got Stockley scoring goals and on fire, and you can bring him off the bench if things are going either way for us, it's a great addition, right?
It's not a league game, but how important was it? We got those back-to-back wins.
Yeah, and I think it was important, really. You know, when you put a side out like that, perhaps it's going to be half senior players and half youngsters. But when you make a decision that, you know, all of them are going to play, because I want everyone fit and I want to be able now, with my team selection, really to go anywhere I want. Everyone, I'm not thinking you can play 60 minutes or you can play, like, you can come on for the last 30 minutes. I think Nigel now is looking at this squad, apart from perhaps Fulsakaski and one or two others who might just be injured at the moment, saying they're all fit.
Nathan Harnister had a very good game.
Yeah.
Not even in the squads. But I think it's important to step in and do well. But fortunately, this is it now, isn't it? It's like everyone's fit. We've had a break. And now it's almost like we've got to kick on from here on in.
Yeah, definitely. And he said a game like this, it can go both ways, right? You can put the team out and they don't live up to expectations and everyone's on your back and that. But the team played very professional, done their jobs correctly. And also it gets you a pattern of play that you can establish on the side that we all know this is the way we're going to play. If you do come in the team, you need to do this job. And he said you can start moving forward and start putting runs together.
Yeah, well, Alex Gilby didn't play in that game, but he has made a welcome return after what was a horrible bout of COVID. Charlton TV spoke to him yesterday, not just about today's game, but also about his frightening summer.
Earlier in the season I got COVID, and going back before that I thought COVID was like, I'm really fit, healthy, I'll be able to just sort of bat it off. I think I was the same as everyone was. It hit me hard. I think they said you're normally rough for a couple of days, but I couldn't get out of bed for 10 days. And then finally got back to training after about 2 weeks and then just couldn't do anything, even like walking up and down the corridors. I was out of breath, short on breath. And then thankfully the doc and the physios looked after me and sent me to see a specialist in London. I had a few health problems with my lungs. I had glass lungs, it was called, so I had to go through all different things. I had to be on about steroids. And then just thankfully, over a time of about a month, it got me back breathing normally again, and then I slowly had to start building my workload up. Obviously I wasn't allowed to do things. I was only allowed to work at 50% for about 2 weeks and slowly built it up, and obviously thankfully I ended up getting rid of it. I'm glad I had it to the extent I did, because it made me open my eyes and be so much more careful and do things properly when maybe I was a bit sloppy with certain things I'd done. So I just advise people, you just got to stay safe, you've got to do what's right for you, and everything you can do in your power to stop yourself getting it or helping yourself from not getting it, I'll do it, because now I'm looking at it thinking, I never want to have that again. So I'll be doing everything in my power, and I hope everyone else is, to never be put in that situation again. This is what I live for, like being back with the lads. I think that's what was hard. Obviously, results ain't been going our way, and then you're sitting in a stand, you're thinking, you know you can help, but you feel a bit useless. So I'm just happy to be back. Where we are in the league ain't good enough. I think everyone knows that. So we're just looking to, we've had a good couple of weeks training now and no game the weekend. So we're just ready to crack on now and sort our form out, start winning some games and get out of where we are. Obviously we had 2 good wins. I think the lads done really well in the Papa John's, and obviously we had a good win away at Fleetwood. And obviously it's something to build on. It's down to us as players to really sort it out and get us from where we are. Games come thick and fast now, so we just got to put some wins together. And then in this league, you put 2, 3, 4 wins together, you start looking up instead of down. So firstly, we just got to win some games, put some back-to-back wins together and really crack on.
Because first of all, great to see him back. And secondly, he had a really strong end to the season, didn't he? So how much of a boost is it? And has he already been in the last game
Well,
or
you
so?
can see he's a player. You know,
You like him, don't you?
Yeah, I do like him, because he's the sort of, we spoke about you earlier there, getting in the box, but he wants to get in the box. But he's being used at the moment as one of the 2 holders. But you know he's sort of like desperate to get in there, which is what you need. You know, you need a midfield player to get up and around 10 goals a season if you're going to be successful. You need someone in that midfield, and with a few others chipping in. But he's got an eye for a goal. That's what I like about him.
Looking back to last season, it's probably only really when Nigel came in we saw the best of him. How much do you feel he's enjoying working under Nigel?
Yeah, because I think Nigel, you got Elliott playing there at the moment. I think he'd prefer to play where Elliott is. I think a couple of them now, and Fulsakaski when he comes back, they're all vying for that number 10 spot. But I think he's a midfield player that sees a pass. You can trust him in terms of doing his defensive work, but you know he wants to get in there, and that's the big thing. People are arriving in the box, and if we've got these 2 wide players that we have been playing and they're going to start getting some balls in the box, you can't just have Davison in there or Stockley. You need someone else to get in there. And if there's 2 getting in there with Elliott Lee, then you've got a chance.
I think he has got that licence to sometimes just leave the whole of midfield and go in and bomb in. When one of your big players returns to fitness, Forge, how important is that for the rest of the lads in the team?
He said one of the star players, when they're at it, you know, my thing is that your best players make other players better, yeah? So when you've got them on the pitch with you, it galvanises everyone else. And he said you can go on, you just feel a bit better knowing that you've got them players with you, right?
Let's remind ourselves of the team as we edge ever closer to kick-off, starting with our side. Remember, unchanged from the team that beat Fleetwood a couple of weeks ago, and it's pretty much an unchanged substitutes bench as well. Just Ben Watson in for Sean Clare. Again, Curbs, we'll touch on it again. Does that look a balanced team to you? And I'm looking at Corey and I'm thinking, wow, I'm surprised he's not in there, to be honest with you. But that's a manager's problem, and let's say it's a good problem, I suppose.
But like 2 strikers on the bench, you know, there's not a lot of teams that have got the strength in depth that we've got. And that brings its own problems for the manager, because you know you hear managers complaining they ain't got enough players. Well, we may have one or too many, if you like.
Yeah.
As we say, we watched the under 23s, if you like, and it was the first team.
Yeah.
Apart from the keeper, they'd all played this season. So we've got strength in depth, and also the competition. You know, you're looking at it, as you say. Corey Blackett-Taylor would be really disappointed he's not starting. So that's up to Charlie Kirk and Lecco to keep him on the bench.
If I were him, I'd be warming up and down in front of Nigel quite regularly.
Well, that's you, isn't it? Yeah.
You know who done that really well was John Solako. He used to do that in front of you.
John, and Robbo.
Robbo would have been there, definitely.
Robbo, get out of the way, I'm trying to watch the game.
Let's move on. Let's move on to Lincoln's team then, shall we? And look, I mean, they got to the playoffs last season, of course, but with injuries and I have to say, very, very good young players returning to their parent clubs. This isn't the same Lincoln side as the last campaign. In fact, they've just won 2 of the last 9. There's no clean sheet this season.
It's a consequence, Scott, of selling the players, the better players, and you know
they're not a big side, are they? I mean, Anthony Scully scored 11 goals, 7 in the league this season. He's certainly one to watch out for.
I was quite impressed with them last year when they came here near the end of the season, and Michael Appleton went in there after I think the Cowley brothers left, didn't he? And everyone thought it was going to be doom and gloom, and had a really good season last year.
Michael's a good manager, isn't he?
Yeah, and. You know, I think he'd be disappointed where they are. So this is not an easy game for us.
And not won a home game since the opening day of the season. Great opportunity for us. How do you see it, Forge, going?
Yeah,
how do we approach it?
I think he said jumping on them from the kick-off on the front foot. We said we've got a strong side, a big side as well. And he said I don't think we need to be on the back foot at all.
Let's get to our comment. Go on, tell you.
No, I was just saying that we've got great support there. It sounds, 1,300 people, I think they said, didn't they? And so they're going to make a noise. It's a small ground. Pitch is all right. No excuses.
Good. No excuses whatsoever. Let's get over now, shall we, to Tell Smith, Greg Stubley and Brownie.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, John. Thank you, Curbs. And welcome to the DNEL Stadium. Sinsel Bank in old money if you're a certain age. Alongside me, Stevie Brown and Steve. Just before the last international break, we had 2 wins on the spin and couldn't keep it going. How important is it to do that today?
I think it's very important, Terry, for many reasons, actually. One, for momentum, which will build confidence. And I think Nigel is, despite that very good win up at Fleetwood, still under pressure to get results and to get us pushing up the league. So there's a very important 7 days coming up. 2 away games, 1 home. And on paper, they're all pretty tough. You know, I'd say this is probably... This and Atkinson you've got to look at to get points. Sunderland is extremely tough to go up there and get a result. They've not fared too well in Lincoln. Home form not great. I think it's a great opportunity for us to go back-to-back wins. But we shall see over the next 90 minutes.
I'd say the difference